What's happening, party people? Welcome to Blues Lawyer Confessional. This is Jack.
And this is Matt Esquire.
Today we are going to learn about what it is to be a blues lawyer. And we brought our very own blues lawyer here, Matt, the blues lawyer. The name of the channel is Blues Lawyer Confessional. And you may know what that is. But we're going to explain in great detail. So jump on in.
Blues lawyer is obviously someone with more money than skill. Typically a lawyer, dentist, or doctor. I actually am a lawyer. My father liked to call himself a blues doctor. He was a doctor, and he also played Les Pauls just like I do.
And the term blues lawyer is a
Pejorative.
negative. It's a pejorative term, right? So it's not meant as a praise. I think it comes from a place of perhaps gatekeeping by working musicians. You as a blues lawyer, why do you have Les Paul customs? Why is that the guitar choice for the blues lawyer?
You know, you love what you grow up seeing. And my dad, he was a dyed-in-the-wool boomer. He grew up wanting a Les Paul custom. And so when he had finally made it as a doctor, one day he comes home with the most beautiful Les Paul custom. And this must have been around 87. So this is what the ending days of Norland. It was one of these beautiful 3-piece tops. And it was in this, I still remember the case. It was the protector case with the blue plush interior. And it was the most beautiful guitar that I'd ever seen. Around this time, there still wasn't the PRS 10 tops. This was about as good as you were ever going to see in person. I'm a teenager thinking, my dad's made it, and this is, a symbol of that. So it just got lodged in my brain.
So it's more of it's like, not say a status symbol, but more like a, hey, Dad, I made it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not about proving it to anyone else. It's more of proving it to myself. Like, okay, you know what? I'm finally, a success, or at a place in my life, in my career, where I can consider myself to be a success.
Because a guitar is an instrument, it's a tool, the many $1,000 customs are not necessarily the best tool for every job. They may not be a tool for any of the jobs you're doing, right? And so in that case, the studio exists.
Exactly.
And this is the working man machine. And I wonder, if some of the negative connotations on blues lawyering comes from the idea that you have a fine work of art that sounds amazing, and it's kind of like the magnificent lion locked up at the zoo. It doesn't get a chance to do what it needs to do. I
don't want to psychoanalyze anyone.
I do.
It might come from a place of envy. It might come from any number of places. It might come from the fanboy mentality of, goddamn Gibson, we don't like them, or what have you. I mean, yes, it is a piece of art, but honestly, when you think about it, there's a lot of various instruments that themselves are works of art. So you think about a Stradivarius, you can think about, a harp, or a Steinway Grand, or anything like that. I mean, they are handcrafted instruments. They are beautiful in and of themselves, but I would be hard-pressed to hear the difference between a Stradivarius and some, mid-grade violin in your average violinist's hands. I just wouldn't be able to detect that.
Well, you're not the refined blues violinist that other people are. How about the idea that the guitar is for both the artist and the listener? And so a lot of the guitar, the differences in the, I got a dog here, the $150 Squire and the $1,000 Les Paul Studio relate to how it feels in your hands, right? It's how the neck is worked, how the body feels, the responsiveness to the person. But then, as been proven, you put enough gain on anything, a lot of guitar tends to sound the same.
If you put that Studio in my hand, and then you put one of the customs in my hand, with the custom, you can literally feel like you're like, oh wait, and then that probably translates psychologically into, hey, I'm playing a really nice instrument. I'm proud of this. I like this. I feel good about myself, and I'm going to channel that into my noodling.
I don't disagree. As Alicia was making fun of my deedle-deedle-dealing that she says I do, I was playing the Squire Mustang, and I was like, this is actually really, as I said in the previous video, this is nice. This is a guitar. Like, I like this. This plays nice. It sounds good. But then I grabbed my Gibson Firebird, and I'm like, this is a guitar. Yeah. And it feels different. It feels better. But when I record it and put it into a song in the context of a mix, I have to label my tracks on which guitar I used. You know, oh, this is the Fernandez offset track. This is the Fire, like, because it is really hard to tell the difference in the context of a mix and when things are just waveforms. And so, is the Blues Lawyer guitar self-serving? Yes.
Absolutely.
And you know what? If you don't... Yeah, buddy. If that guitar isn't for you, then it's not for you. And I think that perhaps like gatekeeping in general, right? If you want to like an Ibanez RG series, then that's on you to like. You know, you can like whatever you like, play whatever you play, and do what makes you happy. If you like noodling and deedling, then that's great. It makes you happy.
Guitar is like any other hobby. There is an aspect of collecting to it. There are the people who are the gatekeepers of knowledge.
I hope this dog gets a lot of attention on the video. Please comment below if you like this dog.
Or just wish him a happy birthday, because it is coming up in the next week.
Happy birthday. Dog birthdays are the best. They turn 7 every year. But if you don't like and comment, and if you don't subscribe, this dog is being given back to the shelter.
No, he's not.
I think there's some of the animosity or anger that exists is in the idea that you spent X thousands of dollars and it should be perfect. Then you have the Murphy Lab where it's like distressed and made to look old. To me that brings up, like, I don't say poser concerns, but like poser concerns. Like, it's the torn jeans of the guitar world where you're spending extra to make it look like it's actually vintage. And I don't know if that's a big part of it or a different part of it.
The stolen valor.
Yes.
Yeah. I can't speak to relics because I personally don't really go in for them. I do also not get too overwrought over slight imperfections in guitars. I mean, yes, I do spend a lot of money on them. That's also part of the reason I buy them used, because that way I'm not the one eating all the depreciation.
Guitar is not an investment, it's an instrument.
Exactly. That doesn't mean you can't spend, a lot of money on it, but also know you really get diminishing returns. That said, guitars are handmade, they are inherently imperfect. And in fact, some of the things that the Murphy Lab tries to imitate are actual imperfections, things that were long-standing problems. For example, there is a whole group of people who like putting their Gibsons out in the sun to fade the finish. Well, it shouldn't fade. I mean, the entire reason some of them faded is because they sat unbought in music store windows. Another problem is that the dye used to bleed into the binding, and people will actually look for the bleeding on the binding now. That's not supposed to happen. If something has an imperfection, that's fine, at least for me.
Yeah.
Some people want it to be pristine. Some people want it to be perfect. I'm personally of the belief, if you're looking for perfection, don't buy a Gibson. Please don't.
I think don't buy a guitar that you're going to play. It's not. It's going back to the original idea that it's not a work of art; it's an instrument. If you're 6 inches away and like looking down every joint, and that brings you joy, I guess. But the second you take it out to do anything with it, or even if you just leave it sitting somewhere, it's going to get scratches. It's going to get imperfections. My favorite thing, the horrible thing, happened to me when my wall rack fell off the wall. And like 6 guitars ended up on the floor, and each one, all the heads stayed on. So Gibson, good job. But one of the things that happened was I got this really nasty scar in my Firebird, and then so what I ended up doing was sanding it down and giving it its own like kind of extreme relicking, and I like it a lot more now. And it because it's a lot freer. Like when it was that like pretty guitar on the wall, and I was like, I don't want to touch it. It's fingerprints on it. Now I'm like, oh, my keys are, I have a belt buckle. Like, there's all these things that don't matter when it already has a few nicks on it. Whereas, like, the idea that you're going to keep it pristine, it's just like a car. Once you drive it to the grocery store, someone's going to ding you with the cart or their door. Just get over it.
Also, at least for me, there's a point of pride. I mean, I remember the first time I was putting a this custom back, and I remember looking on the back. I'm like, oh, I've put some buckle rash in there. Good. I've actually played the damn thing.
I mean, if somebody has heartburn over a few scratches on the back of a guitar,
yeah.
What are we doing here? And then even the front, but like, unless it's the Adam Jones guitars with the paintings on the back.
But those are designed to be works of art.
Yeah.
That is the entire purpose.
So I played the Adam Jones at Guitar Center the other day. So nice. One thing I want to note, at Guitar Center I was there, and the bottom row in the main hall was all high-end Fenders. So it was $4,000 Fenders through 2000. It was the row that was previously all Squier is now at arm's reach. All the highest end guitars, all the Gibson in the Gibson room now. It's not called Platinum Room 2, it's Gibson Room. All unlocked. It's amazing.
I mean, speaking of Squier, that's the irony of it. If you want a guitar that is going to remain pristine, buy yourself a Squier. Buy yourself a Made in Mexico Fender, because the polyurethane is bulletproof. Yeah. Okay, it will stay looking like that for the next 500 years because it's polyurethane.
And that's the irony, right? Like, you have the $150 guitar that like your kid is gonna drop, like straight up just drop on the floor, and nothing's gonna happen. But then you buy a custom. Someone spent hours and hours buffing and cleaning it up, and you know, it brushes up against your belt buckle or like aggressively against the zipper of your hoodie, and next thing you know, there's a little scratch on the back. And initially, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna feel bad. Now you're a work of art because you've made it special. So that's being a blues lawyer. If you think you're a blues lawyer, please drop a comment below and say, I'm a blues lawyer. If you think this is all nonsense and you hate this idea and you think Matt's a poser, let us know too.
That's fine. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. If you're a blues lawyer, a blues dentist, a blues doctor, well, the confessional is open.
Well, I try to reply to every comment that is respectful, and even the ones that aren't. So for Matt, this is Jack. This has been Blues Lawyer Confessional. Less fiddling,
more playing.